All right. Today, we're jumping into 10 foundational lessons that could seriously, completely change your financial life. Let's get right into it. So, what if I told you that building real, lasting wealth wasn't about some complicated, hidden secret? What if it's really just about mastering a few core ideas? Well, that's exactly the powerful premise we're exploring right now.
And to make these 10 lessons really easy to digest and, actually use, we've organized them into a super powerful three-part system. It's all about mindset, habits, and strategy.
Okay, let's dive into part one, the wealth mindset. And this is so crucial because, honestly, everything starts in your head. Before you can build wealth in your bank account, you got to build the right framework in your mind.
The absolute cornerstone of this mindset is something called delayed gratification. It's basically the superpower of saying no to a small reward right now so you can get a way bigger payoff later. Planting a seed today so you can have a whole forest tomorrow.
But how do you actually practice that day to day? Well, here's a brilliant little rule of thumb. If you can't afford to buy something twice, you really can't afford it once. It's such a simple but powerful gut check, especially for those bigger purchases, and it can save you from so much financial strain.
And this idea of long-term thinking is so powerful. Just imagine this choice. You could take a marketing job right now for a quick $20,000 salary bump, but it's not really going anywhere. Or you could stay in a role that perfectly aligns with your 20-year career goal. When you zoom out like that, the better decision becomes kind of obvious, right? Now, the second piece of the wealth mindset is a big one. You have got to stop playing the comparison game. Seriously, your financial path is your own. Comparing your journey to someone's perfectly curated highlight reel on social media is just a recipe for impulse spending and a whole lot of anxiety.
And this whole comparison trap leads to this fascinating phenomenon, the 30K millionaire. And I bet you've seen them. It's the person who makes, say, 30 grand a year, but lives a lifestyle like they make millions, usually all funded by debt. It's the ultimate example of looking rich versus being wealthy. This quote from the classic book, The Millionaire Next Door, just nails it. True financial security comes from having a goal to be secure, not just a desire to spend more money. One of those paths leads to freedom, and the other, well, it's just a dead end.
So once you've got that mindset locked in, it's time to build some real momentum. And that brings us to part two, your core financial habits. These are the simple actions, repeated daily, that turn all that good intention into actual results. It really boils down to what I call the big three. You need to consistently track your expenses, your savings rate, and your net worth. If you can just focus on improving those three numbers over time, financial freedom becomes almost inevitable. Now, for expenses, here's a critical rule to live by. Aim to keep your fixed costs, the big stuff like housing and transportation, below 60% of your income. Once you go over that, your budget gets super strained and there's just no room left for saving and investing.
This next habit is maybe one of the most important things to really understand. Getting to your first $100,000 is a grind. It is hard, and it's built almost entirely on your ability to just relentlessly save, not on finding some perfect investment. But hitting that milestone is this massive psychological tipping point. It's when your money finally starts to have a life of its own.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. Look at the numbers. To get to just over $100,000 in 6 years, even with a solid 7.5% return, a staggering 77% of that money comes directly from your savings. In the beginning, your contributions are doing all the heavy lifting. Period.
So, you've got the mindset and you're building the habits. Now for part three, the simple strategy that makes your money work for you. And the answer here is refreshingly uncomplicated.
A really common mistake is just overcomplicating everything. You might go out and buy a dozen different ETFs thinking you're getting all this amazing diversification, but you could just be buying the same stocks over and over again. For instance, over 92% of Vanguard's mid-cap ETF is already inside their S&P 500 ETF. The real lesson? Keep it simple.
And if you need proof that simple works, get this. Over the last 15 years, a basic, boring S&P 500 index fund has outperformed 92% of professional active fund managers. You don't need to be a genius to get great returns. You just need to be consistent.
A huge part of your strategy is just knowing what not to do. And probably the worst financial move you can make is borrowing money to buy things that go down in value, what we call depreciating assets. We're talking cars, jewelry, furniture, even smartphones. Paying interest to lose money is a guaranteed way to go backward.
Worried about the market crashing? I get it. But consider this powerful fact. Historically, there has never been a 20-year period where U.S. stocks, including dividends, have lost money. Never. Time is your ultimate safety net.
And this quote from author Morgan Housel just perfectly sums up the winning strategy. The goal isn't to beat the market, the goal is endurance, it's to stay in the market. Earning average returns for an above-average amount of time is what creates truly extraordinary wealth.
So, we've covered the mindset, the habits, and the strategy. Now let's put all these pieces together into a clear, actionable path to financial freedom.
It all rests on these 3 pillars. You start by winning the game in your head with a long-term mindset. Then you build momentum with consistent habits like tracking and saving. And finally, you let time do the work with a simple, proven investment strategy.
The system really is simple. This isn't about being some financial genius. It's about discipline. So the question I want to leave you with is this: what's the first step you will take?